Okay, Kevin, there's a lot of people who have the basis of the language. They know a lot of vocabulary and expressions, but whenever they have to talk, they can't. So, what do you recommend?
Okay, that's a nice question. A lot of people, face that problem, including me. I went through that process as well. So I would like to say that if you are going through that process of, understanding a lot of the language, in this case English, but you find yourself not being able to express your thoughts confidently, then you need to take a couple of steps. In fact, I'm going to mention three today that are going to help you a lot. Number one is to receive a lot of comprehensive input, which I believe is the key for acquiring any language, whether it's French or Italian or German, Chinese, and in this case, English. So get a lot of comprehensible input, which means live the language.
Okay, Kevin, but how can we live the language, as you said?
Well, that's a good question. People think that you need to be able to travel to that or those countries where your target language is spoken. But if you have the chance, then do it. But being honest, most of us do not have those possibilities. So how do we do it? Well, nowadays we have like the most powerful tool, which is internet.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, through internet you can live the language. Sorry. So what does that mean? Well, in order to acquire a language, you need to listen and read a lot. Listen and read a lot. People think that the first steps to speaking a language is to speak, and let me tell you that that's a huge mistake. Why?
Okay.
Because my question is always, how can you speak a language that you haven't listened to?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Makes sense.
How can I play a song that I have never listened to before? You see,
That's
so
true.
languages are like music. If you want to become a musician, then you need to listen to music. So languages are the same. Well, by listening and reading, you get vocabulary, expressions, native expressions. You learn how to think in that target language, not in your mother tongue language, etc., etc. It helps you with your pronunciation, especially like in languages like French, Italian, that are very melodic languages. But English, you also need to have that accent, that intonation, which is different. That's
Yeah.
that's a part of what makes a language special.
That's
Its
true.
intonation and pronunciation. So that's the way you can live it. And of course, if you have friends and I don't know, any relative you can practice with, that's awesome. But it gotta be every day.
That's a key.
That's key. And number two, I would like to mention this, which is very important,
Okay.
to have a mentor. And people might, wonder why. Well, a mentor is somebody who already went through the process you want to go through. You see, so he knows the steps you gotta take, he knows what you have to avoid, and he teaches you what you have to focus on. Because the problem is that most of the times when we are learning a new language, we start studying things that we will never use, or that situation is not coming soon. For example, like in this country, Nicaragua, we don't have trains. So you start learning about situations in the train, like train station and stops. That's important. But if you are not going to travel soon, it's useless and you're going to forget it soon because you're not going to practice it, you're not going to use it. So focus on things that you're going to be using on, let's say, a daily basis. That's a key. So a mentor gives you feedback on how you are saying things. That mentor helps you to keep practicing the language, and that mentor tells you, hey, stop here, don't study this, you'd better study this.
That's true.
He's like a guide, or you see, he guides you through the whole process. And then of course there are things that you can only pick up on your own.
Yeah.
That's right.
More important.
That's why many people waste many years, you see, trying to pick up a language. And that's where your mind tells you, you know what, you're not going to make it in 3, 6 months, 9 months. You're going to make it in 5 years. So you relax and you spend 5 years trying to pick up a language when you could do it in a very short time.
Yeah.
In a very short time. So in this case, that's the second tip. And the third tip, I would say, is discipline and perseverance.
And why?
Why? Because people start studying languages, but they think that if they do it one day, they're going to get awesome results, which is not true.
Yeah.
And it's not only about languages, but at any area of your life. If you're a sport guy, you need to practice every day. You know, to university, you don't go like one day and that's it. You need to go there for at least 5 years.
Yeah.
So
Consistency.
you need to have that discipline. Have you ever experienced or have you ever been in a course where there are 13 students at the beginning and at the end there are just 3, and out of those 3 only one of them graduates from that course? Because maybe all of them have that desire of talking a new language because it's something cool. It's like everyone wants to be fit, but it takes time and effort.
Yeah.
And languages are the same because languages are complex. Each one of them have a certain degree of difficulty. We all can acquire it, but you gotta be willing to do it. You gotta be willing to do it, and that takes discipline and perseverance. And those are the 3 things I would like to share. You see, that's something I have lived, and that's what has taken me to learning almost 5 languages nowadays. So it sounds very simple, and it is if you're willing to do it, and you just take that first step, which is the most difficult, I would say, sometimes, because it is not incredible to go and enroll yourself in a course. It's not incredible.
Yeah.
The most incredible is to stay until the end and get your goal. You need to have a goal in mind, your vision. So get a lot of comprehensible input, live the language. Number 2, get a mentor, and number 3, be disciplined and have that perseverance. So that's what I could say, about that's an advice for people who already have the basis or are starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Either one of them.
So thank you so much for sharing your experience with us.
Okay, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Goodbye, guys.
Goodbye.